Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I just saw a comment in a video I put out this morning, and one of my criticisms in that video was that, Dr. Eric Helms, one of the people who's standing right here supporting the fake natty movement, while talking about the fact that, there are guys out there who can get to a fat-free mass index of over 25 while being ripped, being under 10% body fat, being totally ripped. They are out there. And kind of my question becomes who and what proof do you have that they are there? And furthermore, the criticism I made, and this is again where people counter argue this and say, well, no, that's not saying it's for everybody. It's just some elite guys who can. And it's like, well, how do you know that they're genetically elite? How do you know that they aren't just blasting a bunch of gear? You don't have any proof of that. And the point we come back to is if it is about knowledge and training, and you go into that dogma that says, oh yeah, if guys just have good genetics, they can get to a 26 fat-free mass index or 26 and a half, while being at 6% body fat, then why can't Eric do it? Eric isn't even a lifetime natty. Eric can't even get to a 24 fat-free mass index, right? He messed with pro hormones and then he did a cycle of Superdrol. Has a decade of training experience, has a PhD in nutritional science, specifically did his doctoral work on competitive bodybuilders. Obviously has pretty good training concepts. He seems to understand how to program training decently. Has a lot of knowledgeable people that he knows personally, that he's friends with, who know a lot about training programming, who could give him pointers. Coaches lots of people, so why can't he reach these numbers? Why can't his athletes do it? He can't even get to a 24. Let's not even talk about the 25, right? And that's the point I've made. I'm like, you can't do it, but you're claiming about, just how possible it is, and we shouldn't be making these sort of statements. And, well, how many of your clients are doing it then? All right, maybe you have terrible genetics. Okay, fine. A lot of us are not the most genetically gifted in different endeavors. That's fine. That's normal. Doesn't mean you aren't knowledgeable. How many people are you coaching who are reaching it? What percentage of your clients are even getting to a 24 when you have them contest lean? Don't you know how to maintain their muscle? You have a PhD in nutritional science. You can't retain their muscle. You can't take these guys who reach a 25 bulking or a 25 and a half, right? At a higher body fat, you can't preserve their muscle tissue. Even with your doctoral work on preserving muscle tissue, you've got to be one of the most knowledgeable experts in the world on that area. That's what your PhD is in. You can't keep them at a 25. Why are they dropping to 24 and lower? Could it be because they're not dieting down on drugs? And that's the point I make, is that the point we come back to is that it doesn't matter if there's a guy somewhere who has done it. It doesn't matter if you find one genetic freak somewhere in the world who has achieved it. The majority of guys who are screaming natural, the overwhelming majority. So let's say let's go out on a limb and say, that bodybuilding predisposes people who are genetically gifted towards it, right? So you already are dealing with the cream of the crop who go compete in whatever natural bodybuilding, right? You're already dealing with the people who are genetically blessed above average, most likely. And then if 1% of the guys who are claiming natty with a fat-free mass index of 25 or higher, if 1% of them really are just genetic freaks and they are natural, by you defending them, have you helped anybody or have you hurt people? In other words, even if your statement is true, you are now giving credence to 99 scam artists who are conning people out of their money, who are ripping people off while blasting gear and selling their programs, and usually selling garbage-ass programs, and charging money for programs is bad enough. Right? Most of the best programs are already free. A custom tailored program, or maybe something that's for non-novice lifters, put in an ebook or something, not charging $20 for that or $25. That's okay. These guys are charging money for programs. They're charging money for coaching services based upon their supposed natural status. So by you defending that one guy which has no benefit. Like why does it do anything beneficial to defend him? You're now putting your expert opinion on the fact that all these guys could be natural, and you now open the doorway for them to rip people off. You're facilitating fraud, right? We're talking about, you're going to argue a point of such a minute point that's not going to help anyone just to try to be academically correct without thinking about the harm you're actually causing with it. Because you are causing harm. You are opening a doorway for people to get ripped off. You know, that's almost like saying to someone, well, you didn't win the lottery. You're not going to win the lottery. People can argue and say, well, that's a false statement because someone's going to win it, right? But if I say you're not going to win the lottery and no one you know is going to win the lottery, just because there's a 1 in a million person out there who wins it, that statistically odds are not in their favor, right? Not in their favor. And the problem you have is that you can't prove that that rare individual is actually natty. You can't prove that they're not cheating just like the other guys. And here's the other problem we come to. You're also opening the door, even if you assume that that's the case, we're now opening the door for amazing 1 in a million genetics, or maybe 1 in 10 million genetics being passed off as knowledge, right? Because now you're opening the door, instead of people just saying, hey, look, this person has some different advantage. They're probably not the pinnacle of knowledge just because they've achieved this naturally, in theory, supposedly, with their 1 in 10 million genetics. Maybe they still don't know shit about training. See the problem there? Either way you look at it, there's a 99+% chance a guy with a 26 fat-free mass index, 6% body fat is blasting gear, right? And there's a 1% or less chance that he's just a genetic freak. Either way, we're now saying that, hey, you know, it's okay to buy his programs. It's okay to buy the supplements he feels works or work for him, even though they don't work, because he has made better gains than other people on his natural status. All right, that's a problem. That is a major problem. And that's the problem I have with defending this nonsense, because at the end of the day, if the guy who can do it without Trent or Anavar or whatever has those freakish genetics and he still doesn't have the requisite knowledge, you're still endorsing people by his programs. And that's exactly the point I would make to Eric or anyone else. If you honestly believe that these guys are natural, who are running around doing bro splits and half reps and keeping constant tension, bro, who are walking around with a 26 fat-free mass index at 6% when they step on the bodybuilding stage, then what good is your knowledge? Meaning, if their garbage-ass training works and all this scientifically proven stuff can't produce the same results, you're basically endorsing their bullshit instead of endorsing proper training, instead of saying, hey, these supplements are a ripoff. And that's exactly the point I would make. And that's exactly why I give Eric a hard time about it, because I would be like, well, why should anyone buy your garbage ass training services if this guy is natural and he got there with a bro split and chasing the pump, bro? Why can't people just pay $50 for his template? Why do they need your coaching services? And it comes down to the fact that Eric has a history of propping up con men. He has a history of propping it up, and the branched chain amino acid thing is right there on the list. Sure, he quit pimping them now, but back when they were trendy and back when Dr. Lane Norton was pimping them and his name was being used to pimp them, so as to not offend Lane, he went on and helped sell branched chain amino acids. He facilitated that. That's facilitating fraud. Maybe if you're not the one selling them, knowing that their garbage is not fraud, but you're approving of it, you're endorsing it. So by that same token, when I see a guy like Eric who is endorsing the fake natty movement and endorsing these charlatans who are charging money for coaching services and programs and meal plans and supplements, who are using fucking Tren and aren't natural, isn't he just facilitating fraud again? That's exactly what he's doing. He's facilitating fraud. and endorsing it because, hey, there's a 1 in a million chance they might be natural. Does it matter? So are we just going to endorse the con men because, hey, there's a 1 in a million chance they could be telling the truth, so let's just buy their products? That's what you're saying, because that's the only reason we care. That's why we care about the fake natty thing. That's why we discuss looking for signs, so that people don't get taken in by charlatans. But given the fact that Eric and a lot of these other evidence-based guys got on the branched chain amino acid bandwagon, and they did, they clearly don't give a shit about facilitating fraud. They really don't care. I'm starting to think, observing this over the years, that the whole evidence-based tag is just another way to fraud people and to get them to buy garbage-ass supplements like branched chain amino acids and stuff that we know now doesn't work. Because, you know, once you have an evidence-based tag and you have that advanced degree, your word is now gospel. And so if you say a product works, even before all the meta-analysis has looked at it, then it must be good. And then people will buy that garbage shit. And then when the meta-analysis comes out, you'll be like, oh, well, I guess the evidence isn't there. I just won't endorse it anymore. After you already got your kickbacks and money and money off your affiliate programs and everything else, right? Yeah, after you already made the money off of it. I'm sorry, but that's how I'm starting to see half these evidence-based clowns. They're just snake oil salesmen like all these other jackasses. And when you have guys like this who are coming up and saying, well, you know, I don't think I just have good genetics. And you're talking about the jackass who's selling a bro split with partial movements chasing the pump, who's, you know, 5'10", 200 pounds at 6-7% body fat. You're facilitating fraud with your evidence-based status, right? You're facilitating fraud. You're endorsing it. You're signing off on it. Real good, man. You're helping the world. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.